NHL players who can't stand each other. These NHL stars can't hide their hatred. NHL stars in conflict. Who's feuding and why? When it comes to professional sports, hockey is one of the toughest, grittiest, and most physically demanding competitions there is. Large, muscular competitors skate around at fast speeds, hoping to make a mark in a sport where body checking is a tactical plan that can be advantageous and where willing combat participants will only be penalized with 5-minute penalties. It stands to reason, therefore, that tensions might frequently tend to run high and emotions may occasionally boil, which can push things beyond the acceptable boundaries of physicality. Now, let's take a look at some of the NHL players who continue to hold grudges against one another. Stay tuned and don't touch that dial. Let's get started. 10. Tom Wilson and Brad Marchand. Tom Wilson and Brad Marchand are two of the most polarizing players in the NHL. They are both known for their physical play and willingness to cross the line. They have been involved in several on-ice altercations, but no love is lost between them. One of the most infamous incidents between Wilson and Marchand occurred in 2018. Wilson was suspended for 20 games for punching and shoving Boston Bruins defenseman Brandon Carlo from behind. Marchand was also involved in the incident and was suspended for 10 games. The two players have also had several verbal exchanges on the ice. In one game, Marchand was caught on camera calling Wilson a piece of Wilson responded by calling Marchand a rat. 9. Ryan Getzlaf and Joe Thorton. Modern hockey often involves a bunch of grinders and enforcers who carry out the dirty work and protect the goal scorers, while star players provide the scoring and skill plays. That's why it's so remarkable when two superstars like Ryan Getzlaf and Joe Thorton truly compete against one another and become bitter rivals. Getzlaf and Thornton had plenty of opportunities to clash as longtime players for the Anaheim Ducks and San Jose Sharks. Fights in the playoffs are less common than feuds between stars, but that is exactly what happened between these two players just after the opening face-off of Game 1 of the Ducks and Sharks first-round series in 2009. The feud between Getzlaf and Thornton continued in the years that followed, and in 2011, Thornton challenged Getzlaf to a fight during the opening face-off of a playoff game. Getzlaf declined the challenge, but the two players exchanged words before the game started. 8. Mike Richards and PK Subban. Mike Richards, a player with the Philadelphia Flyers, was in a foul mood following his team's 3-0 loss to the Montreal Canadiens in November 2010, and he found an easy target of irritation in the brash rookie defenseman for the Canadiens, PK Subban. This led to Richards directing all his anger to Subban. In an interview with a reporter from a local radio station, Richards lambasted the blue liner for what he saw as a lack of respect and an attitude of entitlement on his part. Richards went as far as to imply that an opposition player might take it upon himself to take action if Subban doesn't get his act together if he continues to act like a fool. Following a series of uncomfortable interactions, the spat was put to rest for the most part, as PK Subban developed into an exceptional defenseman and Mike Richards became the unwanted veteran. 7. Ulf Samuelsson and Cam Neely. In the early 1990s, the Wales Conference playoffs ended with a duel between the Boston Bruins and the Pittsburgh Penguins. This matchup was highlighted by the intense battles between the Boston Bruins power forward Cam Neely and the hard-nosed defenseman Ulf Samuelsson of the Penguins. Almost every game was defined by their frenzy vying for positions in front of the goal, which was the focal point of the action. This is until Samuelsson delivered a leg check on Neely that knocked the hulking forward out of the game and put him on the road to an injury-filled career leading to his early retirement. Neely addressed the hatred in a statement upon being inducted to the Hall of Fame and stated that he had little regard for the way Samuelsson played the game. 6. Mikhail Grabovski and Sergei Kostitsyn. It is a mystery as to why Mikhail Grabovski and Sergei Kostitsyn, both natives of Belarusia and former comrades, have long had a continuous relationship with one another. Although some may point to the common Belarus region did something happen back in their native country, or their involvement in the legendary NHL rivalry. Grabovski was a Toronto Maple Leaf while Kostitsyn was a Hab, and they have both gone on the stand saying that they never really liked one another. During a game in 2009, Kostitsyn moved toward Grabovski, which resulted in a 10-minute misconduct for him. During the subsequent match between the two teams, most players spent time preventing the two guys from fighting each other. 5. Milan Lucic and Ryan Miller. When Milan Lucic of the Boston Bruins saw a breakaway opportunity in front of him during a regular season game against the Buffalo Sabres in 2011, tensions flared when Sabres goaltender Ryan Miller left his crease to play the puck. According to NHL rules, Lucic should not have continued into Miller and knocked him to the ice, but he did, earning himself a 2-minute penalty and the ire of Miller, who blasted him after the game for the dirty move. Lucic later claimed that it was unintentional. However, Miller was furious and called Lucic a gutless piece of shit. The two players have been involved in several verbal exchanges since then and have had physical altercations on the ice. 4. Eric Lindros and Scott Stevens. When the dangerous, tough New Jersey Devils defenseman Scott Stevens came across the concussion-prone Eric Lindros skating near center ice, while looking the other way during a playoff game at the close of the 1999-2000 season, it did not end well for Eric. Given that it was Game 7, Stevens adopted a take-no-prisoner attitude and brutally attacked Lindros in the open ice, knocking him out. When Stevens' shoulder connected squarely with Lindros' jaw, it was a crushing hit that sent Lindros to the sidelines for the rest of the 2000-2001 season and prompted an immediate response from the rest of the Flyers. Stevens was suspended for 10 games. In addition, it resulted in the guys maintaining a chili dente with one another. Zdeno, Chara, and Max Pacioretty. Let's take a trip down memory lane to the Bell Center in the heart of downtown Montreal on March 8, 2011. It goes without saying that the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins are both clubs from the original six, but they are also fierce competitors with one another, and game between these two historic teams is always a must-see. Toward the end of the second period, Pacioretty was chasing the puck along the team benches when Zdeno Chara, the towering captain of the Bruins, smashed his head into the glass statue. Pacioretty was struck unconscious and lay motionless on the ice for several minutes, while he was attended to by medical workers from both squads. Pacioretty suffered a concussion and a fractured vertebrae. However, Chara was not suspended. It is still considered to be one of the most stunning hits in recent memory, and it's one of those hits that will always be remembered. 2. PK Subban and Brendan Gallagher. When PK Subban was suddenly traded out of Montreal, there were numerous rumblings that the reason he was traded had nothing to do with hockey, and that the trade was made for reasons unrelated to the sport. Years later, Brendan Gallagher, who was PK's previous teammate, said that the trade was due to inability of some of PK's teammates to coexist harmoniously with PK Subban's imposing personality and propensity for hogging the limelight. After that, the Nashville Predators and the Montreal Canadiens played a game at the Bell Center. During the entire game, Gallagher and PK Subban were at each other's throat, engaging in trash talk and never being afraid to take shots at one another. 1. Dino Ciccarelli and Claude Lemieux. The feud between Dino Ciccarelli and Claude Lemieux is another one of the most well-known in NHL history. In Game 6 of the 1996 Western Conference Finals, Claude Lemieux gave Red Wings center Chris Draper a devastating check from behind, which infuriated Hockeytown at the height of the rivalry between Dino Ciccarelli's Detroit Red Wings and Claude Lemieux's Colorado Avalanche. The collision, which resulted in Draper being taken to the hospital with a broken jaw and shattered cheekbone, contributed to Colorado's victory in the series, ultimately leading to the team's victory in the Stanley Cup. Ciccarelli was the most vocal about the cheap shot, saying that after the traditional post-series handshake line, "I can't believe I shook the guy's frickin' hand." The feud between Ciccarelli and Lemieux eventually died down, but it's still remembered as one of the most intense rivalries in NHL history. That's all from the video. Which other stars do you think fit in this list? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below, and remember to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to catch more videos from our channel. Peace!